So welcome to our AI Potluck. This is sponsored by the Region 4 of ICTFL, so the Illinois Conference on the Teaching of Foreign Languages. As I just mentioned, if anyone is an Illinois teacher, hopefully an ICTFL member, please join the conference. Register for the conference. That'll be next month, October 17th and 18th. Hope to see you there. Just also here at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, our World Language Teacher Education Program is also sponsoring this event. Coordinate that program, so it is something that is near and dear to my heart. We work with teacher candidates to get them licensure in Spanish, French, Latin, and German. So if you are interested, check out our program. That's right, Amy. UIUC, represent. So this is our menu for today. I jumped in with two tools. I promise to be respectful of the 10-minute time limit. I'll make it work. But Diffit was on our list, but then it fell through. But I couldn't not include Diffit. It's so amazing. And I love Fliki as well. So I'll be talking about both of those. And then, of course, you can see we have Mizou, Brisk, ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, Dolly, potentially, School AI, and then we have an AI course on Coursera that's all about AI for language teaching. So it'll be a nice sampling, a nice potluck menu that we have prepared for you today. And in the spirit of a potluck, we have some serving suggestions. One is just browse and sample everything, right? At a potluck, you're probably not going to eat the entire dish, right? We want to take everything in and see what we like, see what maybe works for our classroom, and maybe what doesn't work, or what we might have a struggle implementing in our classrooms, right? We're not going to be able to deep dive into each of the tools that we see here today. So we want to maybe look for that recipe later. We're not going to interrogate the presenter about the recipe and if it can do this niche thing. They're going to give us some of their highlights, what they really like about each of the tools. And so we'll keep our questions to a minimum. If you have them, type them in the chat. They might be able to get to your questions. But if not, don't take it personally, right? It's a potluck. We're not going to be able to do a deep dive here. We have 8 or 9 tools they were going to be talking about. We want to keep it succinct and very short and sweet, but also very informative. We're going to just jump right in to Diffit. We just jump right into the website. It's a better way to see how it works. I think we can all see this page just fine. And this Diffit allows you to find, or actually it takes AI and allows it to generate resources for you that you can use that are tailored to that topic and tailored to your students and the language that you're working with. I don't know, maybe we're working through a thematic unit, we're teaching a lesson on some topic, and we're doing even content-based learning, right? And we just need to find a piece of text or some supplemental article that we can work with on that topic. What is a topic, theme, or question here that you would like to explore? What would we maybe think about? What do we want to know more about?
Greetings in Senegal.
Okay, greetings in Senegal. Good. Greetings in Senegal. All right. What are we looking at in terms of our proficiency? Maybe novice, intermediate, advanced?
High novice.
Okay, we'll keep it simple then. Probably 2nd or 3rd grade. So let's look for some resources. All right, so we get some text and we notice that we have a few options. We can adjust length, so we can make it longer if we want to. It gives us a summary, key vocabularies for that text that we can work with, multiple choice questions, short answer questions, open-ended prompts that we can work with as well. Another thing too that I like about Diffit is that if we look over here, we have a whole bunch of options for activities that you can do. So we've got a Freire model, we've got a reading summary. There's a whole plethora. If we go back, actually, we'll just do see all export options. There's a whole bunch of activities that we could do. We could do summarization, we could do vocabulary. Well, look at all these graphic organizers. I love graphic organizers. Writing strategies, text analysis, collaboration, critical thinking. There are graphic organizers for everything. And you can take one of these and, well, let's go with perhaps, we got C notes too. Let's go with the 5 W's workbook. Let's see what that'll do. So we can click on that one. It'll generate an activity. It'll fill in the graphic organizer with information from the text that we just generated, right? So it's a good time-saving tool that allow you to generate activities, again, that have plenty of scaffolding in terms of graphic organizers for reading and other skills. And it saves a bunch of time, and you can tailor it to your class and the content that you're talking about. Great question in the chat. How much does it cost? It is $15 a month. And so it's $15 a month, but it does allow you to generate these activities, to generate these different texts that you can use in your classes. I want to just point out one other feature. There's plenty of features that you can look at, but another feature is the ability to import vocabulary. So sometimes we find ourselves in a class where we're working with a list of vocabulary. It'll generate a text using that key vocabulary that we're working with or that we want to target in our classes if we do want to generate more input that allows students to engage with that vocabulary. So we would go up here to start new, and we would enter in a vocabulary list, right? So if we want to target some key vocabulary, we could also do it that way as well. So we can start from the content level or the thematic level, but then we could also do it at the word level, the vocab level. So I do that aspect of Diffit. We'll then quickly transition to another tool that is called Fliki. So the website is fliki.ai. And what I find fascinating about it is that it can generate videos from text. And so if we have Diffit create for us a text, we can then build on that text to have it generate videos, right? So then we're able to target different modalities. Now it's not just reading, now it's listening. And so we're able to really build out the different, the base of materials that we have to work with. Video here, I selected French as the language because we have that French text from Diffit on greetings in Senegal. We're going to go up here to Magic Create, and you can even take a tweet, turn that into a video, take a PowerPoint slideshow and turn it into a video. There's a number of things. You could just do an idea, like I want a video about greetings in Senegal, and turn that into a video.
Wow.
But if we want to maybe limit the content to what we just saw in the text that we generated in Diffit, we could just put that text here. We can maybe include some AI media. If you leave it as it is, it'll produce a video that is word for word the same text. We can also just summarize it so that the AI will supplement or phrase the content in a different way. And so this way students are engaging in the content, but they're getting new language, right? And so you can do, I think it goes up to 10 minutes. I chose a 1-minute summary just because it's a little bit quicker to generate. But here we have our video, and it should play for us just fine. It uses AI and stock images. Can you hear it? Is there any sound? No?
No.
Oh, okay, let's see if I do share. Can we hear it now? No, okay. I know I see some in the chat wondering how good the French is. To my novice French ear, it sounds fine. It doesn't sound robotic, but I'm not sure how good it would sound to an expert in French. But you can see that there are images to go with it, and that you also see the text. And so you can change every aspect of it. You can change the pictures, you can change what the text is, you can change what the words are. If you find something isn't accurate or it's language that you don't want your students, you want to maybe simplify the language or maybe make it more complex for students, you can modify those things as well.
Yeah, because the image is definitely not Senegal. It's Asian and looks like a different guy. It doesn't.
Yeah, I had that doubt as I was looking at this AI generated image.
Yeah.
Again, and AI was an option, and so maybe if we hadn't checked AI, it would have given us something a little bit more accurate. But we can always use Google to find images then that might complement the video. That is Fliki. That link is in that Padlet that I shared with everyone. And so that was my potluck offering. Diffit and Fliki. Noemí, talk about Mizou.
Thank you for having me for this AI potluck. I love the idea of everyone coming together and sharing a quick resource. I chose Mizou just because of its infinite capabilities to really have kids converse and use the target language in hopefully a very low stakes way where they feel comfortable, even though, yes, they are talking to a machine. So a little bit about me. My name is Noemí Rodriguez. I hail from the great state of New Jersey. So hello to all of my new friends in Illinois and all over. I started Lo Logramos a little over a year ago with the intentionality of staying home a little bit longer with my daughter Emily, who's in the picture, and we're all about soaring together. I just happen to be wearing the AI hat very much recently, so I've been doing a lot of work with schools and teachers on really building AI literacy and understanding how generative AI works, with hopefully harnessing the power for good, and then leading into classroom use and how we can use some of these tools to help our students excel and practice in their language abilities. So that's a little bit about me. Going into Mizou, though, I wanted to have you all, just as Jude was sharing, experience it, because I think that's the best way to learn a little bit more. So I'm going to drop in the chat a very long list of links. If you want to interact with Frida in English, you're welcome to do so. If you'd rather practice your Spanish skills and go on an expedition in the Amazon rainforest, you can do that with the second link. Or the third link will bring you into debate. So if you want to practice your intermediate Spanish skills, you can do that. So Mizou allows you to text your response, but then also you have the capability of recording a response in the language that you are practicing in with this chatbot. So while hopefully you are exploring and playing around with one of these conversational scenarios, I'm going to bring you to the other side of Mizou, which is the teacher end. You will notice that thankfully this is a safe platform for our students, because just as you are accessing and entering this particular space to interact with this chatbot that I've pre-designed, students wouldn't, and just like you're not providing any identifiable information like an email address or anything that tells me or links this to you, students have that same capability. So I appreciate that students can use initials. Maybe they use their first name and like period 5, for example. Maybe they put in an alias, whatever it is that you want them to do to enter the chat. You would go ahead and give them some sort of direction, so that way afterwards you can know who's who. But technically they are anonymous when they're communicating. However, you can see the interaction with the bot with the behind the scenes in mind. Any language is available. It all goes back to a well-designed prompt. So that's really important, that when you are working in any of these platforms, you go back to what is it that I'm instructing this AI tool to do and to help me with, and making sure that you are specific and strategic with what it is that you're instructing it to create for you or to set up. In this case, this like customized chatbot experience. What I love about Mizou too, just as a side note, I'm bringing Frida Kahlo essentially back from the dead. So you can interact with someone who's no longer with us, and your students can have an immersive experience with someone from history. So imagine like whoever you maybe wanted to talk to, right? Back in the, like when you were studying a language, or even now, if you could pick someone from history to talk to, who might that be? So Mizou allows you to do that, again, with a safe environment. I'm just gonna hopefully get out of this screen real quick. Let me go back. And I want to show you just very quickly the teacher end of it, so you can see what I'm talking about. So I'm not sure if you can share in the chat which one you picked, if it was Frida, if it was the Amazon rainforest, or if it was a debate about the environment. I'm curious to see which one you're interacting with. And then that way I'll go to that one. Debate, Frida. Okay, Frida. Okay, the Amazon, very cool. I just want to show you. So these are all of my bots. They're all public, by the way. What's cool about Mizou is that the community, if you make your bot public, you can certainly take any of my bots and then copy it into your workplace, and then you can use that with your own students. You can also make some modifications and edit it. So let's go to Frida, and you can see, again, this is the teacher end of it from my end. And I have a session that's active in progress right now, so I can check in on how my students are doing. And what I'm going to ask those of you that are interacting with Frida right now, if you can end your session, there should be a blue button on the right-hand side of your screen that allows you to end your session. If you can hit end session, then on my end, you'll be able to see in real time an AI suggested grade. Even though you as the student won't get this information, I will. So I can see right away what was happening in the conversation, what AI flagged it to be, if it was an appropriate conversation, if it was right on task, if it was completely off task and not having anything to do with the topic. This system is going to flag it and give it probably an F. You'll also see the duration of time as well. And then you can see the interaction between the bot and the student. Again, the student stays anonymous here, but I know hypothetically that this was Bonnie. The AI suggested grade is a B. And you can see here that it gives a brief overview of what that student did when they engaged. And then I can literally see what was written. If the student chooses to record their voice as part of it, or if you say to your students, you know what, I want you to use the recording feature, you can actually listen to the audio and you can play it back. Because although this is good, there's something to be said about the human ear listening to the interaction with the bot. And see, if you were going to use this for grading purposes, I would highly recommend that you don't just trust the AI grade, that you go in there, right, and give it your human ear grade, because if we're really going to count this for something, we want to make sure that we are listening and grading students authentically. So you can see here, Sarah received an A, right? Oh, look at that. So Sarah went ahead and interacted with the bot in Spanish. And you can see here that I have some other students that maybe did not get good grades because they didn't really interact. So right away, this flags it for me on the teacher end, which is also good for me to be able to have those side conversations with my students about Mizou. So with my few minutes that are remaining, I'm not really keeping up with the chat, by the way, so I apologize if you threw something in the chat, but let me show you real quick from the build a chatbot perspective. This is how you would create a chatbot. Very quickly, an AI generated chatbot. Let's say I want my students to interact about healthy food options, let's say in Spain, and then I can choose my output. Let's say I want to focus on, let's say, grade 1. This is all very hypothetical. This is set up right now because I chose AI to give me different options on what I can set up for my students. So maybe I want to create a story where characters are choosing healthy foods and helping students learn about this through relatable scenarios and fostering discussion. I'm like, oh, that's a really cool idea. Thank you, AI. So I'm going to go ahead and generate that chatbot. And what it will do for me, because I'm using this AI generated feature within Mizou, it will go ahead and provide me the AI instructions. I like to go in and further clarify, you are a friendly storyteller named Clara, communicating in only Spanish. So I really like to hone in. If I want my conversation to happen in Spanish, I'm going to keep repeating Spanish. I want this bot to only use Spanish. Then I can go here and modify the image. You may see some bias that comes up with some of the images that it believes the people need to look like, just as a heads up. That happens with AI. We're obviously training it, we're teaching it to know better, but it might not know best at this point. And here I have this welcome message, hola Leo, and I can change this right to Spanish, soy Clara, and I can say, vamos contar si una historia juntos hoy. So that'll be the welcome message that my students receive. And then I can go ahead and add more rules here. I can change, let's say this from 500. Let's say I want to keep it to 200 character minimum, but I can really refine this so it's exactly what I want it to be, because this behind the scenes is the importance of prompt design. And I can always, though, just as a side note, go back and edit this if I don't like the way that it works. I can upload a knowledge file. This comes to me with premium access. I put in the chat as well, if you'd like premium access to Mizou, they were kind enough to give anyone who essentially listens to me talk about Mizou can get a month of Mizou premium access. I don't receive any compensation. I just want to put that out there. I'm just someone who appreciates this tool and they kept hearing me talk about it. So they provided this as an incentive to anyone who's interested. Here I have just 2 voice options, hoping this expands as well. And the discovery is for folks like yourself who are looking for maybe similar chatbots. You can discover anyone else's chatbot, so I can provide more information here to hone in. I also want to label this. I don't like the word foreign, but it's here. It's a foreign language tool. I can hit save. And then on my teacher end, I know I have 10 seconds remaining. I can hit start chat and I can interact with the bot now in Spanish to make sure that it's ready for my students to use. I'm going to go ahead and put those links again. There's my timer to stop talking. My 10 minutes are up. I'm going to go ahead and put those links again in the chat. But as I shared with you, there's a Google form that you're welcome to fill out. If you can provide your email with me, then I can go ahead and set you up with that special invitation with 1 month of premium access. I do hope to, if you're interested, joining Team Lo Logramos on social media. I'm always sharing tips, tricks, ideas, and I developed an AI innovators community specific to supporting language teachers on a monthly basis with their AI journey. So hopefully this isn't the last time I see you. Thank you so much for the time.
Paulino, there you are.
I'm here. There we are.
There you are.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm eager to learn about Brisk. So if you could tell us about you, about Brisk, we're all ears.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the invitation. Hello, everyone. And we are going to make this a Brisk presentation with Brisk. My students, my colleagues, teachers are a little tired of me saying brisket. It used to be Google it. Now it's all brisket. And thank you, Noemí, for that example of a tool that we can use with our students. We are going to transition, or we're going to share a tool that I use it more for my sanity, to save time in things that I need to create. So my name is Paulino Brener, and I'm originally from Argentina. And this year I'm teaching at a high school, and I have Spanish 2 and IBSL. So I have both ends of the spectrum, some lower level classes and higher level classes. And so I'm constantly having to modify things that I do to different levels, because sometimes I like to take one topic, go deeper into that topic for my own purpose, especially topics that are not part of my culture, but are part of the culture that I'm teaching, and then differentiate for one level or the other. Usually I do that when I want to present a new topic, of trying to find media, a video, for example, that also brings that topic, especially, again, if it's not from my culture. So we teach a lot of culture in our classes, and we try to learn and be as responsible with the culture of other friends, other target cultures, but sometimes we also want to bring something. It could be authentic. We could discuss what authentic is, or at least made by someone from that culture. So sometimes I look for news about a specific event or celebration made by someone from a different country. So what I find is that if I want to bring those kind of videos, sometimes I have to do a lot of work, a lot of background work, to support the understanding of that video. So leading to it, I want to make my life easier and create a material that will help me scaffold and introduce background information, front load some vocabulary, that then we can appreciate the video a little better or easier. So Brisk Teaching, it's one of the tools that allows us to do lots of different materials. So I'm going to focus on one. So we have a big spread of things today. I'm just going to focus on one task that we can do with this platform. That said, many of the platforms that are presented today, or others that you discover, might have a similar function. So once you understand how the function works, maybe you apply it in a similar way in a different platform. Brisk Teaching is the website, and it's on the Padlet, but just in case, I'll drop it here in the chat as well. One of the way that Brisk Teaching works is by adding Chrome extension. So we need to use Chrome, and we need to add this Chrome extension to our Chrome browser. Because I already did that in my browser, and I want you to have a little bit, at least know what to expect if you've never done that. I'm going to show you some screenshots because I already done it. While I'm doing that, I'm going to ask you to do two things. One, look at the process. It's not very complicated, but at least you have a visual. At the same time, I'm also going to ask you, like Jude did, about a topic that you are teaching. And in a minute, I'm going to ask you to drop that in the chat. So just planting the seed so that I can brisk it later. You see that transition? Okay, give me a quick heads up or thumbs up or yes in the chat if you can see the slide that says Brisk tools for teachers. Perfect. So once you go to briskteaching.com, you'll see the darker green background, but then you see the button that says add to Chrome for free. So you need to add the Chrome extension. You just click on that button and then add to Chrome. Obviously, you have to use the Chrome browser. And one of the challenges that this could present is that you might not be able to add a Chrome extension if you're using your school computer with your school account. So that's a conversation you'll have with your IT coordinator, because some schools block adding extensions to schools. So that's something to have in mind. The workaround is use it with a personal, like my own Gmail. Because in this case, it's not something I'm going to interact with students. I'm just creating materials for myself that then I can share or show to my students. But the process keeps going. You will add the Chrome extension. You will go through a few screens, because Brisk is a new and developing platform, wants a little bit of your information. You can sign up with a Google account or through any other email. It will ask you a few questions. It does have, as part of the process, the opportunity to share with your friends, but you can click skip at the end, so you don't have to do that. It's just part of the process. And then finally, they want to have an idea, what will you use it for? And the first option there, it says, make slides from a YouTube video. That is just one of the things you can create, and that's the one I'm going to use today. You all want to know about price. It's free for educators, and there's a pro version for $99 a month or $99 a year. Okay, so that's the onboarding. So I'm going to be here on YouTube, and this is the moment that I would like you to drop in the chat a topic, a cultural topic that you are doing with your students, La Guerra Civil Salvadoreña. Okay, keep dropping them. I might do more later and then share what I created while you are learning about something else. But I saw that first one, so I'm gonna paste it here. I'm gonna search for a video that teach me about that. But before I click on a video, I'm gonna click on the filter, because first of all, I don't want a long video. So on filters, I'm going to say under 4 minutes. I'm gonna click on the filter again, because I want a video that has subtitles. So those two filters I want. So under 4 minutes, we don't want very long videos in our classes, or unless you do, but I don't, and subtitles. So now the filters, I know all these videos are here. And now I could look for a video from El Salvador, but I'm gonna go with Telemundo because the first one I found, and I think it's a good source. I'm gonna click on the video, and then you will notice that on my lower, I'm gonna highlight it here. On the lower right, there is a B, a little circle with a B. That B is there, do you all see it? I highlighted with red. That circle is there only because I have the extension. If you don't see the B, you probably need to click on your little puzzle here, find your extension and click on it, or anchor it, pin it, and then you just click on that B there and it will appear. So here's the magic. I'm gonna keep it simple. I'm gonna click on it, say I want to create a and I want to create a presentation. You see all those choices? You see how mindful I am with your time? And we're gonna focus on a presentation. I want my presentation to be in Spanish, just like other tools you saw. Template, I usually like the light one. It's gray and it's super simple, doesn't have any other graphics. I could go into the standards if you want. Let's say it has ACTFL as the standards, and this is about culture, so maybe I'll go into the culture standard and choose interpreted communication. Oops, I cannot use it because I don't have the pro version. If you sign up, they might give you for a while those capabilities. So let's go again, create presentation, and I'm gonna keep it short, a short presentation, 5 slides without images. With images is part of the pro version. So I'm gonna keep a lower level, 2nd grade, and click on Brisket and just watch the magic happen. I click Brisket, I'm going to connect it with it asks me to choose what account, my Google account to use. So I just click continue, it connects Brisk to that account. And then automatically, if the AI gods wants, we'll start creating a presentation. And basically what it's doing in the background is it takes the subtitles or the transcript of the video. That's why it's important when we are looking for video to filter to those that have subtitles. If the video doesn't have subtitles, it will not be able to create the presentation. So the presentation just breaks down the information on the video step by step that now I can use to preload or front load that video. And that saves me time instead of trying to watch the whole video to create the presentation. And with that, I went a little over my time. I apologize. Thank you so much. And I also have an invitation for, other languages for Spanish teachers. This is because I work a lot with Spanish teachers all over the world. I'm going to be doing Taller de Inteligencia Artificial. And this is more than learning. It's more like doing, getting our hands dirty, but with virtual dirt, not real dirt. It's an opportunity not just to learn, but also to practice with other colleagues and ask questions. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and we'll keep going.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Paulino. I did not know about Brisk, so now I know. And that's only one of the features too that Brisk does, right? So we didn't even get into the other things, but that itself is amazing. And Amy commented in the chat, great for things we watch in class that kids might not have access to when at home. Then we can generate a presentation, so then they have access to the content, to the materials. Wonderful introduction to Brisk. Thank you so much. Hope you put some Brisk on your plate as we move forward to our next topic, which is ChatGPT with Tom Welch. Tom, I know we spoke before. I think you're still there. There we go. And we have verified your screen sharing privileges. Take it away, Tom.
All right, I've set my timer too. Let me go to the actual presentation here. And really great to see everybody. Very exciting topic because so much has exploded in the last 2 years with AI. It's amazing. Quickly, most of my professional career was in the state of Kentucky, actually. I was a classroom French teacher, and then I was the state supervisor for languages in Kentucky. And then I became a teaching high school principal. So I taught one class every day in a block schedule for several years, including French. And now I work primarily with the National Council of State Supervisors for Languages. One of the projects that we have that is really heavily involved with AI is what we call FIL, which is Facilitated Interdependent Language Learning. So it allows, for instance, in some iterations, it's an approach, not a method, but we have some teachers, for instance, who have 25 kids in a class, and those kids are learning 12 or 15 different languages, many of which, or most of which, obviously, the teacher doesn't speak. So the teacher can't teach the language. The teacher has to cause learning to occur in that language based on the proficiency scale for the learner. So it's an exciting thing, but it wouldn't be possible without AI. So here, if you want to see these slides later, and I'll put them in the Padlet as well, but you've got a QR code for that, and I'll put it at the end too. But briefly, I can remember practically where I was when I first heard about ChatGPT and started using it. It's amazing. And I think that for many of our colleagues, if they haven't had the chance to work much with it, they don't understand how powerful it is, not only as a teaching aid, which is down the list for me, but as something that can help their individual learners learn what they want to learn. And I won't go into learning theory, but a black swan is something completely unexpected that comes in and changes everything. And I think AI is the black swan of the entire education system. So ChatGPT, you may have heard about it, and I know I'm rushing pretty quickly, but I want to make sure that I stay under my time limit, which now I can't see my timer once I started the screen share. But the wonderful thing about this is it allows your learners to have an individual tutor that can help them. So with 15 different languages being taught in a class or being learned in a class where the teacher doesn't know the languages, what do? ChatGPT allows the learner control over interacting in that language. So for instance, it could be English target language to English target language. They can, like in Brisket and in Mizou, they can chat with other characters. Maybe a student decides, hey, I want to talk to Jean Valjean today from Les Mis, but I want to do that at the novice high level. And then afterwards, I want it to focus on the can-do statements that would be appropriate for what I've done. It can do that. Let me show you quickly how this works. Hi, I want to show you just a couple of things that ChatGPT will do with the mobile version. So if you look down in the corner where you see the headphone and the mic, if you press on the headphones, it will listen to you and then start a conversation. Hi, I'm an American and I'm trying to learn French. I'm going to have a conversation. Let's have me speak in English and you reply in French. So start out telling me about the weather today.
Aujourd'hui, il fait frais avec un ciel partiellement nuageux. Il y a un peu de vent, mais le soleil apparaît de temps en temps. La température est autour de 20 degrés Celsius, donc c'est plutôt agréable pour une promenade.
Now I want to take a look at the transcript of that. So it immediately gives me a transcript. Imagine how you can use this. It really does seem pretty amazing to me. Now, if I can get back to my slides, whatever your student is interested in, or whatever you are asking them to do, ChatGPT can facilitate that conversation. The learner who is afraid of making mistakes no longer has to worry about a teacher dinging them or listening for their errors, and instead they can work with them. And then in terms of assessment, the student can take that transcript of what they were actually doing or the voice recording and share that with their teacher to show them how they are progressing. So you can also practice, it'll do multiple language varieties, so it'll do regional varieties or whatever else. It's really amazing. It has over 90 languages that you can work in right now. Students can get immediate feedback. Oops, didn't mean to switch. Students can get immediate feedback with that. They don't have to wait. You don't have to worry about correcting a bunch of audio tapes or even transcripts. It will do all of that for you. And it can even, a learner could say, hey, take that conversation I just had, and I want you to just look at my use of verbs and tell me if that was appropriate. And ChatGPT will do that. It's really fun. Now, all of these images were created using ChatGPT or DALL-E, which is also from OpenAI. But as you will notice, somebody had mentioned, I guess it was Jude earlier, he was using Diffit and it spells things correctly. No, ChatGPT isn't quite there yet. ChatGPT keeps changing and updating all the time, though. Let's see. So another wonderful thing about ChatGPT is after I started using it and I had asked it about the can-do statements, the necessful, actful, can-do statements, it now knows the can-do statements. So a student could say, listen, I'm really interested, or I'm studying botany in my science class, but I really need to work on my German. Give me a story in German about botany at the novice high or intermediate low level, but I want you to also list the appropriate can-do statements that I could target in my work on botany. And it will do that. It's pretty amazing. I also asked it a few weeks ago, hey, I'm a student getting ready to take the stamp test in Spanish. Could you give me some sample questions for the stamp test that would help me prepare? Guess what? It did. Another thing that I've alluded to is the ability to go with gradual difficulty. So you no longer have to pretend like all of your students are at the same level. You can have the learner learn at the level that is the proximate development level for Vygotsky to take just where they are And in accordance with the work that you do with that learner that you have now time to know more personally, you can help them gradually select what the appropriate can-do statements they need to be identifying as goals might be. So really pretty flexible that way. Cultural context, it can do anything. You can go in and say, hey, I'm getting ready to visit Madrid with my family, and I'd like for you to prepare an itinerary for a 3-day walking tour for me, and then print out a map of that as well, and then give me highlights for that in Spanish at a very easy level for my family to be able to understand. It'll do that. It's just really amazing. Your differentiation, I think the whole idea of differentiated instruction was a plot from about the fourth circle of hell, because I do not believe in differentiated instruction, because that puts all the responsibility on the teacher. I am an absolute fan of differentiated learning, however, which allows the learner to begin to take agency and follow their interest, do it at their level. Maybe a learner doesn't want to be going all the way to AP. Maybe you have learners who say, listen, I love languages. That must be my timer. I love languages. Yeah, I'll stop my time. I'm somebody who's interested in languages. Help me learn 5 different languages at the novice mid-level, because I'm going to be a tour guide when I grow up, but I don't need in-depth. Finally, we can adapt the learner's language goals, not the teacher's language goals, but the learner's language goals to the tools that we can help them achieve their goals. Much more I could say about ChatGPT, but turn it back over to Jude.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tom. We had a quick question in the chat about if the chat functionality, and several people have already responded, I think is only on the phone where you could speak into it, right?
Actually, as of I think last week, it's now on the desktop as well. But it's tricky because today earlier I was trying to do it on my desktop and couldn't find it. I refreshed and then it came back. So it is available, but you may have to search for it. And there's many different versions of ChatGPT, some free, some for a nominal fee.
Okay, perfect. And the new version, I think 01 now has deep reasoning. So that's a whole other can of worms. So that'll be fun to see what that entails. But thank you so much for that presentation. Very informative. Good to think about how we can align ChatGPT with like those standards and how we can use it to, with proficiency in mind, how to build proficiency. Thank you so much for that. Up next then, a competitor to ChatGPT is Microsoft Copilot. So Wen, I believe I saw you in the chat. All right, thank you. Thank you for joining us. And you'll be discussing Microsoft Copilot. So we're all ears and eager to learn from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Wen Guo. Right now, I'm a Chinese lecturer at the University of Virginia. I graduated from the university at Buffalo. I taught in the high school, Buffalo Seminary, for 3 years, and also taught in Middlebury College and other places. So it's really nice to share with you, like we can talk about the potential of Copilot in world language classrooms. So I teach at UVA, and the UVA give us free access to Copilot. So the students and teachers can both use it for free. So when I log in, and then the interface will be looking like this. Why we use Copilot? So it is integrated with Microsoft, and we can have real-time collaboration, and it's safer, and also it's accessible to our students. So like ChatGPT, sometimes it costs money, can cause equity issue. So we can do some AI tasks through Copilot with the students. So I'm going to share with you some tips, like how I use it in my classrooms. I teach Mandarin Chinese as we use Chinese characters. In the class, we usually have a lot of interactive communicative tasks. Then we don't have a lot of time to teach them how to write the characters. So the students can use Copilot to learn how to write it on their own. Also, they can learn about vocab, grammar, pragmatics, and culture, etc. I will give you some examples. First is the writing system, which called Hanzi. So the students can type the character when they do review work, they can look it up and then to know the pronunciation, the meaning, the radicals, and the stroke orders. So they can spend the time in learning it on their own. And then there's another example. So it's pretty consistent, and then they put into different category. In addition to characters, they can also learn about the vocab. This is from the textbook that we use. We use Integrate Chinese. This is from lesson 8, and then the students can type the characters, the words there, and then to let Copilot to generate a table with character pinyin, definition, part of speech, and the English meaning. So after they enter it, and then it will be like this, and then they can download the Excel sheet so they can have their own system. It's nice to have a sample sentence so students can be able to know how to use the word in a sentence level. So I just add, can you add a sample sentence? Can you add sample sentences? So the Copilot just add another column. This is a good way for students to organize their learning, like the vocab. They can create their own system. In addition to learning vocab, the Copilot can help students to distinguish synonyms, like similar words, in what context to use which one. And then they can give the definition, the detailed explanations, and also sample sentences. And in the end, they can give a summary. So it's pretty neat. Sometimes when I chat with students or email conversation, they ask questions if we're busy, and then I just use Copilot to help me to get explanations. So the student just say he felt confident, and then the thing will happen. I just correct the students, it should be 有信心. Then I just ask ChatGPT to distinguish 有自信 versus 有信心, and then the Copilot will explain it. And then I just paste it there to let the students to explain. And then he said he also asked the ChatGPT, so we are all using it to learn it. Also, I asked AI to give me examples, so the AI give more explanations. So I use AI to give student feedback in this way as well. Also, we use AI to learn about the grammar. So when there's grammar pattern, I list it, and then I can ask ChatGPT or ask Copilot to explain, and then here's the form, and then there's forms and functions, and then they will explain in what kind of situation to use this form, and then it's more meaningful. And also there's key points, and they will do a brief summary at the end. Also, I will like the AI to design some interactive situational practice, like role play. And then here they will tell us the setting and then how to prepare for it. And then there's the scenarios, like the role play. There's different scenarios, and we can cut them into little pieces, and then students can draw one, and then they can act it out. So this is really nice, and then they can help us. Sometimes we have to think critically because maybe it doesn't fit, and we have to tweak it a little bit to make it more appropriate in the classroom. Also, this is a response to my students. The students asked what's the difference between these two structures. So I just ask the AI to explain it. Then I just revise it and send back to the students. In addition to vocab and grammar, we can help students to learn how to use the language appropriately in real life. For example, we learned this word 糟糕, like when to use it. So here the AI just give different situations and also give the context and the explanation. It's really helpful for students to know when and how to use it. So there's more examples, and then there's a summary. After that, there will be more follow-up questions we can ask, and then we can explore more. There's another example. The students just watch some YouTube or short video clips on Instagram, and then they heard 你心里没有数吗? This is a very colloquial expression. If we understand it through the literal meaning, students will get confused. I just look it up through the AI, and then the Copilot explain it, and then give the context and the example, so I can help students to explain, help them to understand how to use these colloquial expression in real life. Yeah, and then there's more follow-up question, and then the students can learn it, and then they can know how to use these slang. Also, there's idioms. Sometimes they heard these. This is like metaphorically speaking, is like somebody is very anxious, so they want to know how to use it. And then there's situations help them to understand when and where to use this pattern. So there's some examples about how to use the language appropriately, idioms, slangs, etc. And also just now, some of you said like greetings in real life is really, I find it's really interesting because in Chinese culture, we don't say ni hao all the time. There's different ways to greet people, like also the colloquial expressions. Also in daily life on the street, sometimes young people will use this term to greet each other. Sometimes like 美女 means beautiful lady, but like in American culture, people, I think if they comment on people's appearance, it can be a problem. But in China, the young people do that all the time. So it's a cultural difference. Students can learn about it when they interact with local people, they will not feel offended. And also there's more like they can learn the appropriateness of the language. In addition to pragmatics, students can learn about the culture as well. We have the real world interaction program in our university, which is the students paired up with the tutor in China. So they will have those one-on-one meetings through Zoom with the tutors in China. This is a real world cross-cultural interaction. Sometimes they will have cultural conflict because they don't know the taboos. So we don't want to get tutors in China to get them troubles. So we hope the students here, they can explore and then know the do's and don'ts when they talk to the tutors there. And also we want the tutors there to know what are the things appropriate here if they give comment on our students' appearance, which can be not appropriate. So both students from both countries can learn about the culture as well. In addition to these, and I use AI to generate writing prompts. After we learn like eating at a restaurant, the students can describe their favorite restaurant, can introduce their favorite dish to develop their description, like the descriptive skills, which is like the advanced level skills. Also, they can generate pictures. This is from ChatGPT, and then it's as Tom said, it's not perfect. There's some like the quality of the picture isn't that good. I tried the Copilot as well. The number isn't right. The detail there's problems. So I think it's over the time. Yeah, there's a lot of usages. Yeah, it's really nice to share with you. I hope to learn more from you as well. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you. That was a wonderful number of cases of things of different ways that you can use Copilot. And also, I like how you compared it to ChatGPT. I think one of the advantages too, from what I've been reading about Copilot, is that it's better with privacy. I think it removes names and other sensitive information from maybe text that you might enter into Copilot. So wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing. And I don't believe that our DALL-E presenter, Irina, is here, although perhaps I don't believe so. So we're going to throw it on over to Felipe, who's going to be talking about School AI, a platform that I was not familiar with. And so I'm eager to learn more.
All right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Felipe García. I am currently helping develop an IB program at Frisco ISD here in Texas. I'm also a contractor for developing different language programs for some community colleges here in Texas. I've recently had the opportunity I've taught each and every grade from kinder all the way to the university level, teaching Spanish. So I've got a little bit of this, a little bit of that as experience in my 10-year career. And I'm just looking to try to make sure I'm staying innovative. I'm actually working on my doctorate, and that's what it's on, educational innovation. And that's falls hand in hand with AI. So that's why I thought this was a really good fit to be able to be a part of this. I'm very grateful for that. And I wanted to, first off, before I share School AI, really say that what I'm seeing, just taking a step back, is different variations of kind of a lot of similar forms of AI, at least from what I'm seeing, because I'm about to share with you School AI, which is very similar to Mizou, which I didn't even know about until I came in here. And obviously there's different variations of other platforms as well, but it's really great to see that there is a market for all these different platforms that we can pick and choose which one works best. And I'm about to share with you about School AI, and I'm not with School AI either. I just found something that I hadn't seen, and I thought I'd share with other educators. But I feel like a lot of you guys have shared some really great stuff that I think I might be using more than what I'm actually about to share with you, but I'm going to share it with you anyways. Let me go ahead and do that now. I'm going to go ahead and share screen. I guess I probably could have shared this before. This is just kind of me. Some of my information, I'll put it in the chat as well, just to share with you guys, but I also wanted to just jump right in. Okay, so there are different spaces. This is for all subjects, all levels, but we are going to focus on world languages. So I'm going to use Spanish. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. We're looking for Spanish Cafe. There's a specific one because there's a lot of different ones that have been developed, but I like the original, which is, I'm not seeing it here. Where did it go? So there's well, if I need to, yeah, I'm signed in.
There's one.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to go ahead and put cafe. Yeah, there it is. Okay, there we go. So this right here is really just going to be another AI tool where we have a context of a cafe where someone is talking with someone. I like being able to know what the content the context is for the content that I'm going to be sharing with students. Learning language apart from context it was tough for me. I want to be able to have that and be able to have that be the foundation of expanding on whatever it is that the student wants to learn. So this is just a free, I don't want to say free for all, but this is an open topic for students to be able to learn about. So you do actually get, like Mizou, an opportunity to interact with the AI. I would set this up for us to be able to everybody share with it, but I guess I can do that. If you would like, you can go ahead and scan the code, and it'll take you to Spanish Cafe where you can begin a conversation with the AI. And I took it from the first time I used it from the perspective of like an angsty teen, where very short responses, because it'll start out with the topic, like opening a conversation, and then there would need to be some sort of response from the user. So it'll say, hello, greetings. Would you like to begin learning about Spanish? It gives you different prompts, but the one you guys are going to use is going to be the general prompt. And then I just said yes. And it says, okay, great. Let's talk about some different foods and let's begin that conversation. Did you know you can say me gustaría to say I would like a cup of coffee, un café, or I'd like a sandwich, un sandwich, or whatever it is, un bocadillo, depending on wherever it is that you want to be able to speak from. Is it working? Is it you guys able to use it? Okay, cool. Yeah, so you can play with it. It really just goes wherever you want it to go. And you do also, like Mizou, like Noemí mentioned, you can still go see what students are doing as well. And one of the reasons why I feel like this is a great tool, but Mizou has a lot more freedom in the subscription area. I didn't see a place for individuals to be able to purchase this, at least not the way that I have it. My school purchased this, and when I looked up how much it was per school, it was in the thousands. Not feasible for at least not me, a $3,000 subscription annually. I don't want to start a school or anything, so I used the subscription that they provided, and I thought perhaps if some schools may have this already, may not, would be something to at least share with my colleagues. So it's really what I wanted to do today, share that with you guys. And there are some other options as well if you would like to, for the supporting the educator. If we go back, it does also create lesson plans as well. If we go back to the beginning as well. But yes, it just, I think, at least the way that I'm looking at this, there are different tools. Perhaps I'm going to try to make sure that I find one that seems to work for my students and my, I guess, my needs, right? My educational needs for my students and for myself to support me. But without going into making a lesson, it provides you with everything you need to be able to do that, and it generates it rather quickly. So that's all I have for today. So I wanted to share that with y'all.
Wonderful. That was great. I took a moment to play with the chat bot myself, and it was pretty easy. I just scanned the QR code and I was able to jump right in. So thank you for presenting that. Like you said, there's a bunch of platforms that do similar things. And so it's good to, even if we know one platform, to see what another one does so we can make that comparison and choose what's best for us and for our students. So thank you so much for sharing that. Again, I had no idea what school AI was, but now I do. Did you mention the price? You mentioned a
So
large
the
number.
subscriptions, yes, for the only software district pricing
Okay,
between
okay.
$3,000 to $6,000. So
Oof.
I'm probably going to need
Right.
to investigate a little bit better and see if there is a individual educator, because I'd imagine that there should be, but all I could find was the pricing for the school district. So anyway,
Okay, appreciate that. Wonderful. Yeah, some do that. I think like Pear Deck, for example, doesn't give a teacher price. It gives like a school district price or something. So it says free for teachers on the main site. So thank you so
okay,
much for looking into that. Okay,
there you
wonderful.
go. All right,
Perfect. Well, check out.
collaboration. I love it.
Yes, exactly. Check out School AI, add that to your plate. And as we wind down our AI potluck here, we've got Pamela who'll be talking about Coursera and in particular her course on Coursera. And I do see some text in the chat. All right.
Hi,
So
everybody. Thank you so much for having me with you tonight. Can you see my slide that says Learning Languages with AI on a green background?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. So I know our time is brief, so I put a message in the chat with key links since I imagine that folks will start to need to peel off. I see a timer that's at 1 minute and 43 seconds in the recording, Jude. Is that what we have left? Or do we have 8 minutes left?
Yeah, we have 8 minutes. We have as much time as you need.
Till 7:30. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Terrific. Terrific. So my name is Pamela Bogart. I teach English for academic and professional purposes at the University of Michigan now. I'm also a former French teacher and specialize in equitable and inclusive pronunciation teaching and technology in language teaching, especially building online asynchronous classes that involve really dynamic, hands-on, collaborative learning and community building among students in language courses. And so out of that work emerged over the past year a course that we just launched on Coursera last month that I'm delighted to share with you. And as I mentioned in the chat, this course is aimed at learners, and I love that we got to see Tom and Professor Guo's presentations about all the things that we can do with general purpose generative AI tools. This class is tool agnostic, language agnostic, level agnostic, and seeks to equip learners with the scaffolding needed to learn how to be effective language learners. And as Jude suggested, I will just try to offer a few highlights about the class. Of course, I wish we had all evening and I could share all kinds of highlights about all kinds of different elements of the class, but sadly we don't have time for that. So I will limit myself to a few key points. Emphasis in this 5-module class is on communication orientation to language teaching, independent or supplementing instructed language learning, and critical thinking about how we use AI and some of the pitfalls and challenges and biases baked into AI. And so then I'm going to go to the second key point. The class involves numerous concrete examples, and these are baked into brief how-to videos, concise written guides to different aspects and angles on using generative AI for language learning. The course is full of AI tasks. Go choose an adventure, and here's some scaffolding and some prompt structure to try this out, each with 2 or more fully elaborated examples and reflection on the back end of each of them, and then sample personalized learning plans, and again, scaffolding to help learners develop learning plans. For teachers, the class is licensed with a Creative Commons share and adopt or adapt materials for non-commercial purposes. And our hope was in building this class that we could create some scaffolding tools that teachers might want to pick and choose. The course is also free to learners on Coursera, so teachers could point to just a couple of activities in the Coursera course rather than the whole thing. The potluck idea of the course itself, which is sometimes the best way to use a Coursera course. The course has 5 modules. The first couple introduce basically how to be an effective language learner. AI or not AI, generative AI, the notion of can-do learning objectives. You could adapt things really quickly to substitute the ACTFL proficiency framework for the CEFR proficiency framework, as this is a global class. We chose to go with CEFR. And then introduces a model that I created to help learners see how language input, which we call exposure, studying language, practicing language, and reflecting on that process in a communicative context are the pieces needed for effective language learning. Then modules 3 and 4 get much more deeply into like, how do we critically engage with these tools and use them most effectively and navigate some of the difficulties and challenges in these tools. And then module 5 finishes up with, okay, how do you take all these pieces and these things you tried and develop a really concrete, scaffolded, fun, engaging learning plan that will get you to your own can-do communication objectives. So to help teachers navigate this class, I have built a annotated index of selected course materials. There's a QR code on this slide as well as the bit.ly link. I also put the bit.ly link in the chat. The QR code will be on the next slide, which is just a preview of what the table looks like that I've created for teachers. This table does not include all the activities in the class. Like it skips the module previews and it skips the tests and it skips the discussion prompts and focuses in on the tasks, readings, and videos that I think teachers might want to adopt or adapt into their own language teaching or use for inspiration for a parallel kind of activity. And so that's available to you. It's available to any other teachers that you want to share it with. On the Padlet today, on the Potluck menu, if you look at the Learning Languages with AI link, right under that is another link to the teacher index if you need to come back to that later. So with that, if we have time for questions, I'd love to hear them. I'm guessing we probably don't have time for questions, but boy, I would love to hear from you. Feedback on the class, things you've tried and experimented, questions, or talking together to generate ideas for adaptation. It's all really new and exciting, and I'm just thank you again. This has been a really enriching, insightful evening and really special to share ideas with you all.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And thank you for that spreadsheet. There are so many resources on that spreadsheet. I couldn't help but just type wow in the chat when I saw everything. So thanks for compiling that and for taking the time to share that with us. I think it's a good way, a nice capstone on the evening to think about to the learner side of things, that learner perspective and what that could look like and how to leverage that. So thank you so much for mentioning that, for bringing that up, bring that to our potluck. And so that would conclude our evening. Unless anyone does have any questions, I just want to say that I want to thank all of our presenters. Thank you so much for taking the time to be with us, to share your knowledge and expertise about those different AI tools and platforms. As a final reminder, if you are an Illinois teacher looking for professional development hours, please stay around. I'm going to be dropping the evaluation survey in the chat. So do not leave without filling out that survey so that you can get your professional development hours. With that, I want to thank everyone for coming and for joining us and for all the energy and enthusiasm. It's just so fun. So thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, Jude.
Thanks,
you. Jude. Appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.